Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the Shepherd's College Virtual Preview Day. We are so glad that you guys have taken time this evening to join us and learn about our program and engage with us online. I just want to start out with a few housekeeping things here. This webinar is being recorded today, so afterwards, if you'd like to refer back to it, we're going to have the recording up and posted, and we'll email you and let you know about that. We have a chat feature at the bottom, and so throughout this webinar we cannot see you or hear you, and no one else can see or hear you as well, but you can use the chat feature in the bottom to submit questions. So as we go through today, we're going to do a Q&A at the very end, but if you could, as you think of questions, feel free to go down in the chat and type those. As you submit those questions, only the four of us on screen will be able to see them. Nobody else will be able to read your questions. And we'll do our best to get through all of those as well. Another thing, if you're new to Zoom, one of the best ways to view the screen we're going to be sharing and also see us is to go to your options and choose side-by-side mode. Side-by-side mode is a great way so you can still see us talking on the side and see the screen that we're going to be sharing as well. Also, at the very end of this, after the Q&A, once all is said and done, we're going to do a drawing for a free Shepherd's College t-shirt. And so stay tuned for that at the end. Another thing is on Zoom, you can do polls, which is really cool. So we want to keep everyone engaged and active as we're doing this virtual opportunity. And so there will be 4 different times throughout this virtual preview day where we're going to have questions, just fun questions for you to answer and kind of go through those as well. And so that's pretty much it for housekeeping. We're again so thankful that you all could join us today. We're going to begin by going through our mission and accreditation. And so I'm going to introduce here President Tracy Terrell. He's going to walk us through both our mission statement and our underlying philosophy as a college.
Thanks, Eric. It's great to have all of you join us this evening as we share Shepherd's College with you. Shepherd's College was founded in 2008. And was part of had a parent organization called Shepherd's Ministries that founded Shepherd's College. And Shepherd's Ministries was incorporated all the way back in 1958. And since that time has served this same population through the years in a variety of ways. Shepherd's was founded as a boarding school for kids, opened on our campus right now in Union Grove, Wisconsin, but opened way back in 1964 as a boarding school for children. And that predates special education in public schools. And so there weren't many educational opportunities for young people with special needs. And so parents would send their sons or daughters all the way to Union Grove to live and be educated. Over time, the need for that school went away, and Shepherd's became an adult residential facility. At one point had 170 or so adults living on this campus. And when Shepherd's College was created, we shared this campus with that adult residential facility up until just about 2 years ago. So currently, Shepherd's Ministries consist entirely of Shepherd's College. And so it's been neat to see the college grow year by year. In 2008, when we were founded, that first year we had 6 students. And this past year we opened with 95 students and are expecting or hoping for a similar enrollment for this coming school year. So Shepherd's, you can see our mission there to educate trade students with intellectual and developmental disabilities by equipping them to reach appropriate independence. We'll talk about that in just a minute. That's our guiding philosophy. Through the development of vocational, social, and life skills, while inspiring a lasting awareness of God's plan for their lives. And so it gives you an indication there that we are a Christian organization, and it's very important to who we are and what we do. Appropriate independence, the guiding philosophy, it's defined as supported self-sufficiency that's aligned with the strengths of each individual and guided by Christian values. So let's unpack that just a little bit. Supported self-sufficiency, we recognize that all of our students, they come to us having a disability and they need a level of supports. And even when they graduate, almost all of our graduates still need a level of supports once they graduate, but the hope is to minimize those, to help them become as independent as is appropriate given their the degree of their disability. And then we want to focus on the strengths of each individual. So one of the ways we do that is to focus on their ability rather than their disability. But they'll do different assessments and learn the strengths they have, the talents, the gifts, things like that they have. And we want to focus on those and develop those and have it be more about what they're capable of doing rather than what they're not capable of doing. And then finally, it's guided by Christian values. Again, that's a real key to who we are at Shepherd's College. You can see the 4 principles there of appropriate independence, or AI as we call it. So AI means something different on our campus than it does in the rest of the world, but starts with we're designed on a purpose and for a purpose. So our students will learn these. We'll talk about them often. As parents of our students, hopefully they get to know these and learn these principles of appropriate independence as well. So the whole college has been designed around this idea of appropriate independence. Shepherd's College is accredited by the Council on Occupational Education, or COE. COE is headquartered down in Atlanta, and they accredit hundreds of schools like ours, classified like ours, which is non-degree granting post-secondary schools. Accreditation is an important thing for us, and it's a process in which COE has its 250 some different criteria across 10 different standards that they'll give you those in advance, and you prep for a site visit. You put everything in order, and you're trying to demonstrate that you meet all of those 250 plus criteria. A team comes to your campus and spends some days on campus and looks for that evidence. And the way the process works is they identify where you fall short. Those are called findings. And then they communicate to you the findings. You have a chance to go back and work on those, improve those. And eventually, once you hit 100% of all the 250 criteria, then they accredit you. Back in 2015, when COE came to our school and did their site visit, it was exciting to learn when they told us that here's the findings that we have for you. They had 0. And that was pretty remarkable, a wonderful testament to all the hard work of our staff to put things in order to the degree that there were no findings. And that less than 5% of the schools that COE accredits have that with 0 findings during their visit. So it's a big deal. And I want to point out, COE accredits, we're the only school that serves this population that COE accredits. So it's a pretty big deal that we have accreditation, and that we, it also opens up federal student aid for families. So because we are accredited, we qualify for that, or families can participate in that. And that is, you'll hear more about that later, and the benefits that is to our families and our students.
Thank you, Tracy. We appreciate that very much. Tracy will be around at the end again, and will be participating in our Q&A. So if you have questions, we encourage you to go ahead and submit those at any time throughout the evening. In fact, if you have anything related to our mission, to appropriate independence or our accreditation, right now would be a great time to take that in consideration, type it into the chat, and then we'll get to it at the very end. But before we move on to the next stage, we have our first poll question for you. So Cassandra, you want to bring that up for us?
Yeah, all right. So I'm going to go ahead and launch the poll. So the first poll is all about appropriate independence. So what of the 4 principles of appropriate independence are you most excited to learn about? So the first option is being designed on and for a purpose. Second is created as an individual for community. 3, learning how to be trained for life. And 4, being empowered to serve.
So go ahead and submit your response to that now, and then we will see what the results are. I'll give it a few more seconds. I'll go ahead and transition, and then we will circle back and update you on what this group selection was for the appropriate independence. All right, the next thing we're going to talk about is what we call our core classes or core academics. So at Shepherd's College, you may already be familiar, and we'll get into it a little bit later. We have 3 specialty majors that we train students in, preparing them for employment. All students also take what we call our core classes. These are kind of similar to traditional college students call like gen eds, classes that every student takes, no matter what their major choice is. And these are all classes that will either impact one component of our mission. So it could be a spiritual formation class, it could be a personal professional development class, daily living skills, money skills, anything that's relevant to life after Shepherd's College is typically focused on within these classes. So our curriculum coordinator, Mrs. Sarah Kolkman, put together a presentation for you guys just to give an overview of what those courses are and what you would expect to learn from them. So we'll go ahead and play that video for you.
Hello, my name is Mrs. Kolkman. I'm an instructor and I'm the curriculum coordinator at Shepherd's College. I have the pleasure of going through the academic program of Shepherd's College with you today. So I'm going to start with our curriculum. Here's our philosophy of curriculum. Everything that we teach is real. And REAL stands for relational, experiential, applicable, and learner-based. What that means is when we teach and design lessons, we have this as a checklist to go through to make sure that everything that we are teaching in our classes is relational. There's some kind of social component in our lessons. It's experiential, meaning we're just not teaching a skill, we're experiencing and engaging with that skill. We're practicing that skill. Everything that we teach, we want to be applicable to life after graduation. Our goal is appropriate independence, and so every skill that we're going to teach in our classes is to help with that appropriate independence. And learner-based, we understand that all students learn differently, and so we want to meet your learning needs through visual aids, through kinesthetic activities, by being tactile, and by having different accommodations brought in. So everything that we teach, we want to make sure that we are doing it to meet your needs. And so because we have this philosophy of real education, our instructors teach at a very high standard. And our instructors are very creative in what they do and how they teach it. Now, here are all of our classes. And so as you can see, this is a class schedule for year 1 through 3, which is a lot. However, what I want you to notice is that there are a lot of colors on this page. We want to keep our class sizes small. And so in order to take an incoming class of 30-some students, we're going to break you into different class teams. And each class team travels together and experiences classes together. Now, each first-year student is going to have the same classes, but when you take that class, during the week is going to be depending on the class team that you are in. So you'll see that this green team at the top, they travel together for all of their classes. Same with the blue team and same with the orange team. They are in their classes together. Now here's what a class schedule would look like for someone who is a first-year student on the orange team. As you can see, classes begin at 9 a.m. and end at 2:50 or 3 p.m. And throughout the whole academic day, we're pretty busy. There's classes going on during the whole week. And so students are going to be in classes sometimes for a 2-hour block, sometimes for just a 1-hour block. Sometimes classes meet multiple times a week, and sometimes it's a class that just meets once a week. And so students are going to be traveling with that team through these classes each week. Now, we do have breaks in between each hour, even the 2-hour blocks. We encourage our students to stand up, to stretch, to drink water. We try to stay active. We're pretty busy. Now, even at the 3 o'clock, you'll see we have a lot of student life opportunities. So there's activities and clubs, there's advising meetings, there's spiritual formation, Friday fun, wacky Wednesday. And so even though 3 o'clock ends the academic portion, our learning isn't done, our socializing and our experiencing isn't done. Students are now applying these skills into student life. And so we offer a lot of different activities after classes for students to participate in as well. Now, year 1, these are all the classes that a first-year student is going to take during the year. And so you'll see that list of classes. Year 1 has the most academic classes offered. Now let's look inside what one of these classes looks like. So we're going to look inside Personal and Professional Development 1. Now, inside professional development, students are going to learn the soft skills, the social skills needed in order to be appropriately independent, in order to make and maintain friendships, make and maintain healthy relationships at a job, all of those social skills. As you can see on the side of the screen here, those are the different units, the different skills that students are going to walk away knowing how to do by the end of this class, by the end of their first year. Students are going to learn skills such as building healthy relationships, conflict resolution, practice self-regulation, those emotions. Students are going to do professional presentations. They're going to navigate through social media, and they're going to learn how to self-advocate for their needs. Now, the great thing is students are going to walk away from year one with these tools in their tool belt, and they're going to be built upon and utilized and continue to practice in the following year, so year 2 and year 3. Let's look at year 2. Year 2, as you notice, has less academic classes. That's because the majority of class time is spent in a specialty major. So now, as a second-year student, you're spending the mornings of your classes throughout the week in your specialty major, and the afternoons of your classes, you're going to have these academic classes. So there's fewer offered. Let's look inside the class employment readiness for a second-year student. So employment readiness is all about job readiness skills. You're going to create a resume, and you're going to participate in several different interview fairs. So do you remember in year 1 with professional development, you did presentations? Well, now year 2, you're doing an interview, so you're building on those skills. Remember in year 1 where you learned about conflict resolution skills? Well, year 2, you're talking about job readiness skills. So what happens when you have a conflict with a coworker? Remember in year 1, you learned about self-advocacy? Well, now year 2, what do you do when you don't understand the instructions for your job? Tasks that you have to do. How do you advocate? So those skills are being built upon in year 2 and even in year 3. So looking at year 3 has the fewest academic classes. That's because Monday through Thursday, third-year students are at a field experience for their specialty major. So they're out in the job force. They're working and they're doing their specialty major internship. Fridays are when third years have academic classes. And so these are the classes that third-year students take on Fridays. Now, let's look inside personal finance. Year 1 has money management. Year 2 has money and money skills class. And then year 3 has personal finance. So in personal finance, year 3, we're really practicing and reinforcing those applicable after graduation skills. And so personal finance for a third-year student is really focusing on budgeting, personal spending, bills, learning how to pay those bills, and learning what a debit and a credit card is and the difference between those. So again, it's building off of year 1 and 2 math classes. And now year 3, because we're a third year and graduation is so close, really focusing on those applicable life after graduation skills that are needed for finance. Now we have our specialty majors, and our 3 options are culinary arts, horticulture, and technology. As a first-year student, you get a survey introduction class in each of these majors. You get to experience what each major is like. Christmas time, you get to go home and decide with your parents which major you're going to declare. And then second semester as a first-year student, you are in your declared specialty major. And so you're going to spend a lot of time over the 3 years at Shepherd's College with your specialty major. Now let me give you an overview of each of them. Culinary arts, we have a great training kitchen, a great commercial kitchen. We have a cafe. We have a lot of different options for students to be working in culinary arts. And on the side of the screen are just some of the skills that students are going to learn through the culinary arts program. And so it's great to see students working during the lunch line, serving coffee at our cafe. Students are constantly cooking and making different things, which is really exciting to see. In horticulture, students are working on the grounds and in our greenhouse. And so you'll see some of the skills that students are going to walk away with in horticulture, from greenhouse to floral and landscape. You'll see students operating machinery. You'll see students out on the grounds attending maintenance. And so it's awesome to see students on our campus really helping beautify our campus. You should go into the greenhouse and see all the plants that are for sale right now in the spring, which is great that all the students have been able to grow and tend to. So horticulture really focuses on the grounds outside, and students are doing a lot of the work off campus as well. Some students are working at different stables and different floral retail centers and different greenhouses around our area here for their field experiences. And technology is our newest specialty major. We have a great studio here on campus for students to work in for technology, and students are doing different skills like learning professional office, web development, IT and maintenance. Students are often going into the campus and they're helping staff with their IT requests and helping me turn on my computer when it's not working, which is great. Students are walking around with cameras and video cameras, and they're making movies and they're taking pictures and they're doing that media, Photoshop and all of that stuff, which is great to see. So students get a lot of experience in our technology major. So again, our curriculum is real. And so everything that we do, we want it to be relational, building social skills. We want it to be experiential. We want students to experience everything they're doing. We want everything that we teach to be applicable to life after college. And we want to have it as learner-based, as individualized as we can to meet your needs so that you are having the best experience with our education as you can. And so we really enjoy having students on our campus and in our classes, and we know that students really enjoy being in our classes as well, and we cannot wait until we can see you on campus and hopefully see you in our classes in the future. Thank you for taking the time to learn about the academic program here at Shepherd's College, and I hope to see you soon. Thank you.
All right, we're going to be learning about the specialty majors a little bit more after this, but right now I'm going to share the poll results from our last poll about appropriate independence. So our most commonly picked one was learning how to be trained for life. And then I'll go ahead and post our next poll, which is all about academics in the specialty majors. So what specialty major interests you the most? Culinary Arts, Horticulture, or Technology?
Thank you, Cassandra. That we've already covered a little bit of that material just now. We're actually going to go into each one in a little bit more depth in a second, but before we get there, we were interested to find out what you might be interested in. I think I would probably pick Culinary Arts because my wife is one of the teachers for Culinary Arts, so I would enjoy getting to spend time with her. But if she wasn't, I think I might actually pick Horticulture because I like working outside. I like working independently on projects, such as the projects a lot of Hort students work on. But I'm interested really in all three. So to learn a little bit more about the rest of our specialty majors, I'm going to turn it over to Eric, and he's going to go into a little bit more depth for each one.
Awesome, thank you. So yeah, we got to see Mrs. Kolkman. She's one of our lead instructors here. She's our curriculum coordinator. She'll be teaching a lot of our first year core classes as well. And so she mentioned the three majors at the very end there for a little bit. And if you kind of got the idea, it's that as students progress through the program over all 3 years, they will spend less time in our core classes and more time in the vocational training as they progress throughout their 3 years. So as our goal is to help students become independent and find gainful employment, we've kind of strategically done it that way. And so we're going to kind of jump in here and learn a little bit more about Culinary Arts. And so before I show this video, Union Grove, it's a fairly small town, and just right down the road from our campus is Community State Bank. And we're going to learn more about this, but we've always had a good connection with the bank. And even as Mrs. Kolkman shared about the money skills and personal finance classes that students take, we're often doing field trips down to the bank and working with the bank as well. And what's really awesome is about 1.5 years ago, they went through a remodel and wanted to put in a coffee shop to kind of build community. As they did that, they approached Shepherd's College and asked that we would run it and have our culinary students run it as part of their third year field experience opportunities. So It's up and running now, Shepherd's Community Cafe. It's here in town, and so that's been really exciting for us. One of our community partnerships that we're just really proud of and thankful, and such a great opportunity for our students. And so these photos that you can see here, these kind of capture part of our culinary arts program, but we have a bakery. We're going to watch a video on that shares a little bit about it, but ultimately the bakery is where we make goods and sell them down at the bank. But then we have a commercial sized kitchen on campus where students are going to get a lot of hands-on training in several different areas. And so these are some photos here of some of the creations that students have made. We also have students who help with lunch production every day. And so we're making over 100 lunches every day, Monday through Friday, during the week. And so our students get hands-on training with that as well. And our head chef, Chef Lamson, he is the guy there in the middle video with the very tall white chef hat, helping out one of our students bake some brownies. So we're going to jump into the next video here and move through culinary arts.
This is our bakery on campus, and so our culinary arts students will make baked goods in here that get sold at Shepherd's Community Cafe, which is an amazing partnership between Community State Bank and Shepherd's College right here in Union Grove. And so we have a coffee shop at the bank where we have students serving the baked goods, serving coffee, but then on campus, right here in our bakery, our second-year culinary students make baked goods such as muffins and scones and other creations that they continue to make throughout the year. And it all takes place right here in our bakery.
So yeah, that's a little overview of the bakery, and I'm just going to jump right in here. And so we actually have a video to show you Shepherd's Community Cafe.
The idea of having a kind of a coffee shop inside a community bank has been in my thought process for probably 20 years. When I was introduced to Shepherd's College, I knew it was a great opportunity.
Shepherd's College is a school for students with intellectual and developmental disabilities, so every student that we work with has a disability. We really want our students to understand that within that term disability is the word ability, and we want to focus on their abilities. This is a wonderful opportunity for them to showcase their abilities.
The giving heart and the giving mission of both Community State Bank and Shepherd's College was also there with Stone Creek Coffee. The missions are all pretty similar, which is very, very unusual when you can make that happen in something that we're trying to put together.
The cafe means a lot to the students. It's giving them social skills, it's giving them experience working in the food industry and in a cafe. There's a wide variety of things they're learning, and there's so much more than that comes along with it.
Shepherd's Community Cafe has given me amazing volunteer opportunities, something to go on my resume, and it means a lot to me.
It's amazing, it's fun, it's delicious drinks, and I enjoy this a lot, so thank you so much. And I love this kitchen a lot. That's my dream kitchen.
One of the unique things about our cafe is that all of the proceeds go directly to Shepherd's College, and I would really love for our community to get behind this cause so that the students can continue to learn and grow at Shepherd's College.
We hope that the cafe is the same thing, that the community uses it to bring people together. One of the ways we did that was to create 2 meeting spaces within the cafe, and those are spaces that can get private when you want them to be, and they can be open when you want them to be. They have the technology, so people can reserve that either online or by calling in here to hold their meetings right here in this community area.
Scott's interest in involving the community and utilizing the bank to bring the community together, I think, is really impressive. We don't have anything like it here in Union Grove.
Yeah, so there's an overview of culinary arts for you, and jumping in here, we're going to go ahead and discuss horticulture. So our second major here on campus is horticulture, and so here you can see some of our students. These are third years working at their field experience sites. And so within horticulture, as mentioned before, they'll learn a lot of different skills, but they'll go through greenhouse production, landscape, agriculture, landscape design, And the list goes on right here. And one thing I do want to point out is that for each of our 3 majors, we have a lot of what they're going to learn through the class listed on this website. And this website that we're going through with you today is live and can be re-accessed after today. So if you ever want to go back and just kind of self-pace and go through and click through what we're going through today, you will have that option. So I know we're kind of going through things a little fast here, but as you want to go and revisit if whatever major you're interested in most, you're more than welcome to visit this page again. So we have a little video here that's going to run through the horticulture program.
One of our 3 majors here is horticulture, and in horticulture, students learn things such as agriculture, landscape maintenance, landscape design, and greenhouse production. And so right now I'm standing in our greenhouse, and we're actually getting ready to do our spring plant sale as well. And that is something that students get to help out with each year, where not only are they learning plant identification and transplanting and everything else that comes with running a greenhouse, they get to interact with customers from the community through both our fall and spring plant sales.
Yeah, and in regards to plant sales, they're actually taking place through the month of June. So Thursdays, Fridays, and Saturdays. If you check out our website or our Facebook page, the times for those days are listed. And we would love to have anyone who's nearby and wants to buy plants. It'd be a great opportunity to come and see the greenhouse and interact and engage with our staff members who are working this week. Another part of our horticulture program that's fairly new to us is our Sustainable Oasis at Shepherd's College. And so I'm going to hand it over to Brian to share a little bit more about exactly what that is.
Yeah, thank you, Eric. It's been exciting to hear about the greenhouse too. We've actually had a record-breaking year for greenhouse sales up to this point. So that's been very encouraging in light of all the restrictions and limitations that are in place, that the community is continuing to support our efforts and our mission as it relates to the horticulture component of our program. So Sustainable Oasis is a community-supported agriculture company, a CSA, that is now operating on our campus. They're occupying about 10 acres of our 94-acre campus, and they've been putting up fencing, a hoop house, and planting their plants over the last several weeks, and are officially now open and operating. Last I heard, they only had a couple membership or subscriptions left, so that's really good news. They're rolling it out to begin with, I believe, for a small group of about 30 total subscriptions, with the hope that each year they'll be able to expand on that and open it increasingly to the community. We've all experienced some of the impact on the food supply chains recently with some of the things been put in place as a result of the pandemic. So being able to be a part of that solution and growing food here locally that's available to our community allows us to continue and just create value for our surrounding community. So we're really excited about that. They're going to be growing pretty much anything you can think of as it relates to what's seasonal in Wisconsin during this time of year. And they have about 3 different periods of time that will be producing different kinds of crops throughout the spring and into the fall. They also have 3 different subscription models. So whether you're looking for a lot of produce or periodic access to produce every 2 or 4 weeks, they have different subscription options. So at the point in time in which this will become more broadly available to the community, we will be making that announcement. It won't be happening this year, but it is on our campus. And the way that it impacts our student lives is we're going to be providing field experience opportunities, so great on-the-job training for students. It's also a partnership with Gateway Technical College, our local community college here in the area. So our students will be rubbing shoulders with horticulture students from other technical colleges, and that'll provide a great working experience and opportunity for them. And then they have hopes that as they grow as a business, and they are a nonprofit, but as a business offering a service to our community, they do hope to hire graduates in the future of Shepherd's College. So some alumni may eventually land there for employment. But we're really excited about this partnership with them, that it's provided on our campus, and our community is excited and supporting us as well so far with this new initiative. So if you're able to come to campus in the near future, there'll be quite a bit to see as they've really opened up their operations just over the last several weeks. So excited for you to get to see it, and then also hopefully to taste some of the produce at some point in time. So
awesome. Thanks, Brian. And then our third major at Shepherd's College is technology. And so within technology, there are 4 different tracks. So we have professional office, web development, IT maintenance and repair, and mass media. And you'll notice that there's a handful of bullet points under each one as far as what goes into those 4 different categories. But students will receive training if they choose the tech program. They're going to learn a subset of skills in both professional office, web development, IT maintenance and repair, and mass media. Then throughout their time in the major, they're going to get to choose which track that they would really like to zone in on that really fits with their skill sets. And so we have another video here that we're going to share that covers a little bit more about technology.
One of our 3 majors here is also technology, and so I'm out in our tech center, and in the tech center, students learn 4 different tracks, and they go through web development, IT maintenance and repair, mass media, and professional office skills. And also, while students are in our technology major, they get to help out with our help desk, and so as we have different issues that arise on campus, our students will receive the tickets and go and serve our staff as they help troubleshoot different problems that we might have on campus.
So yeah, with that, as I mentioned at the end, that students help with our help desk here on campus. And so that's such a unique opportunity for them, where not only are they, learning all the different skill sets, but as our staff members have issues around campus, we submit tickets, and then our students are actually the ones who are coming to our office and with guidance as well as they troubleshoot our own issues. So they get a lot of hands-on training through that. And really all 3 of our majors, as you can tell, are very hands-on, they're very interactive. Even with our core classes as well, our curriculum is very engaging and hands-on as we use the real instruction that Mrs. Kolkman talked about. And so now we're going to transition into student housing. So I'll hand it over to Brian.
Thanks, Eric. So our student housing arrangement is quite unique. So far as we know, we're the only program in the country that has this kind of structured and supported transitional housing option across the span of the student experience while they're here. And it's all by design. We know most of our students have never lived outside of the home before they become a Shepherd's College students. They need a lot of support. They need a lot of training to make sure that they're in a safe environment, that the training is suitable to where they're at that point in time as they're developing their skills. And so a lot of thought's gone into what this process looks like for our students. So it starts with dorms, moves to what we call halls or homes, and then apartments. And each area has a different level of responsibility and independence that's required of the students who live there. And we have students that, like I said before, they've never left home. And so the first time that they're spending much time anywhere outside of the house is when they come here as a student. And then we have students who may have had a job, a car, an apartment, but they're still needing some additional life skill training, social skill training, training for long-term sustainable employment. And they will come with us as well. No matter where anybody is or where they're coming from, everybody does start in the dorms, the area that's the most structured and supported, so that we can get at least a baseline of where they're at. If we have the opportunity in the space, there are occasions in which a student might advance into a different area that's more suitable to challenging them with where they're at this point in their life based on their previous experience. But if a student has never done laundry, they've never cooked a meal, they've never washed dishes, they've never mopped the floor, first we would encourage you, if you can now, start doing those things and start preparing, because it'll help you when you do move to college. But if you haven't, that's why we're here, to provide that training over time, incrementally, so that you can develop those skills over the course of your time here. And as you begin in the dorm, it prepares you for the second. We're going to look, now we do have a male and a female dorm and a male and a female halls for each one of our living area. We're just going to look at one of each because the layout is quite similar. And so we don't want to be redundant and show both locations and identify the same things we do in both. We're just going to show you one for each. We're going to begin by showing you the female dorm area. So this is where first year female students would begin for the student life portion of their stay on campus.
This is the female dorms where our first year female students live. And if you're a first-year female student at Shepherd's College, you might find yourself helping out here in the kitchen or in the common space. And what we do is we have first-year students start out doing small tasks at a time. And so we recognize this could be your first time away from home as a college student. And so we're gonna kind of start small, and we're gonna have about 2 to 3 staff members down here with you to help you adjust and kind of navigate what it's like to be a first-year student at Shepherd's College. Now, as a first-year female student, you will have one roommate, and then there will also be a community-style restroom in the hallway as well, and laundry facilities will be attached here also. And so as you're a first-year student, not only will you work in groups and kind of take care of the larger areas like the kitchen and the common space, but you'll be taking care of your rooms, learning laundry, and also helping take care of a restroom. And so these are kind of all the things that kind of take place down here as a first-year student.
As we kind of work our way through this progression, as we started the college in 2008, we actually began only with the apartments. And then we sort of reverse engineered the process, developing the homes and then eventually the dorms. So we kind of went backwards, and it really was effective in helping us develop our overall scheme for all 3 phases, because it was very evident at the very beginning how challenging it was to move from home into an apartment, and how inefficient it was for a student who's learning those skills for the first time, because it takes a lot of time for staff to train in a hands-on way students who are just beginning to learn how to prepare a meal, follow a recipe, do laundry, all those sorts of things. So now that we have this 3-phase process that allows us to incrementally help prepare the students to move to areas of more responsibility. And you might have noticed before when Mrs. Kolkman was sharing about the curriculum of our program, that it's also reinforced in the classroom. So the daily living skills class, for example, is an actual part of their academic day where they're learning the skills that complement what they do throughout the student housing arrangement that they're living in. And our student housing situation is really, it's a big lab ultimately is what it is, similar to our labs for our specialty majors. It's a place where students are trained for life. We're gonna look at the second phase now. The second phase of on-campus living, the 2 newest areas are Cook Hall and Lamb Hall, and they were recently renovated, so they're newer, as recent as within the last year and a half for our students. We also have a couple home-style, almost duplex-style houses that are not going to be included in this video, but that also provide additional second-year housing. But we're going to look now at the female cook, or sorry, at the male second phase Cook Hall.
Our second-year housing arrangement on campus is known as the halls. And right now I'm in Cook Hall. Cook Hall is the second-year male housing on campus. And Cook Hall can house up to 16 students total under this one roof. However, in this one building, we have 2 separate sides that house up to 8 students on each side. On each side with 8 students, we have 2 separate kitchens, just like the ones behind me, where students will then split 4 and 4 into their own kitchens. Now, as classes go from 9 to 3, when students get out of class at 3 o'clock, the second-year male students will come back here, and we will have 1 staff per 8 students. Ultimately, we'll have 1 staff on each side of the hall. Now, for the overnight shift, we'll have 1 person per the 16 students in the hall every night of the week as well, to ensure an extra measure of safety for our students. Now, the difference between the dorms and the hall is now you've gone from the dorms of doing small tasks at a time to now you're in the hall taking on more responsibilities as you have more kitchen space as well as a larger area to take care of as well. And so in this area, they have their own common space as well, with a TV and a gaming system if they have one. We've got tables set up for students to hang out together as well. For each room, there are 2 students to a room, and the guys share a community-style restroom. In the middle of Cook Hall, we have a laundry facility where the male students will take turns doing their own laundry as well, right here on site. And so that is the Cook Hall.
You heard Eric reference what we call ERS, or sleep-in staff. So it's important to note in year 1 and year 2, there's a 24-hour continuum of staffing. Anytime that there's a student in a student living area, there's either a staff member that's awake and they're helping and training and supporting students, or during the night, there's a staff that's sleeping in there for security, for safety, and for emergency response if it were needed. The only location where that's not true of is the third-year apartment area. Now, those buildings are secure. They are alarmed for student safety. We have a third shift staff that's awake and available to help and monitor that location, but we don't actually have a staff that's directly sleeping in the building there. But it's also the area where the students have received the most training and are already the most independent. So over the course of the first 2 years, as they develop their skills and they make the transition to the apartments, not only have their skills improved for daily living, but they've also demonstrated a certain level of character and integrity and responsibility to be able to handle that level of responsibility. So we're going to look now at the third and final phase of on-campus living, the Clark Apartments.
This is a Clark apartment where our third-year students live on campus. And so now students have gone from the dorm to the hall to the apartment, which is the most independent phase of living on campus. And in an apartment are 2 students. And so a student has themselves and a roommate, where they are now splitting all of the responsibilities completely in half. So now they're taking care of their living room, the kitchen, their restroom, and then they have their own bedroom attached as well. And in the bedroom, there is a dividing wall so that each student has their own side, even though they share a room. And the way the apartments work is that one side is all female apartments, the other side is all male apartments, and we'll have a staff member on each side kind of going in and out, making sure students are doing all right in the evenings. Now, laundry units are attached here on site as well, and so students do have to go outside to do their own laundry, but it's just a short walk whether you're on the male side or the female side. And so yeah, this is the third-year apartment on campus, the most final phase where students are going to live right before that they graduate and go out and become more independent in
The next thing we're going to look at is what we call our student life program. So we have our classes, our specialty majors, we have our student housing, and the student life programming is kind of everything that takes place both in classes and outside of classes that create a student life experience while they're here on campus. So I'm going to turn that over to Eric now.
Awesome, thank you. And I believe we're actually going, before we jump in, we're going to do another poll here. And so we're going to do a poll on student housing.
Yes. Before we do the third poll, we're going to share the results from the last poll over academics. And it was pretty split here on what everybody's favorite major was between culinary arts and technology. So maybe that changed a little bit as people learn more about it, but that's where we were at the end of that one. And now we're gonna do one about student housing. So let me launch that one. And then what is your favorite area of living on campus? So first year dorms, second year halls, and then third year apartments.
Awesome. Awesome. So go ahead and submit those, and then we will go through student life and revisit your answers in just a little while. And so, yeah, as part of student life, there's a few different things that we're going to walk through. And the first one is advising. Now, advisors are actually here during the academic day, and they are the main point of contact between students and parents. And they're also the students' go-to person. And so when it comes to whether it be goal planning or a big one is budgeting, figuring out as weekend events come up, how much money do we have? How much can we spend? Advisors are going to be their go-to person. And so Tyler Sally is our lead advisor here at Shepherd's College, and he's going to share a little bit about the advising role.
My name is Tyler Sally, and I'm the Director of Advising and Student Success on campus. Just wanted to take a little bit of time here to talk through the advising role at Shepherd's College. So the role of the advisor, just wanted to quick describe that for you. Traditionally, an advisor on campus maybe would help a student talk through the program that they want to go through, figure out the classes that they're going to take, and make sure they take the right amount of credits to be able to graduate. Here at Shepherd's College, we take that a step further. And really, it's a personal relationship with our students to be able to help support throughout the 3 years that they're on our campus. So number one, we just seek to provide that consistency and the trust for students and also for parents. Again, each year, depending on their situation, a student might be changing a living area. They're definitely going to be changing classes. And so all of those staff members that they have throughout their time are going to change just based on those things alone. Advisors, they stay consistent. The goal is that that student has the same advisor for all 3 years while they're a student at Shepherd's College. So naturally, that creates a pretty special relationship where not only the student knows the advisor, but the advisor definitely knows that student as they go throughout those 3 years. The next part of the advising role is overseeing and advocating for our students. So as we go throughout their program, we have many meetings talking about what's best, and we have to focus on what's best for that individual student as well as the community as a whole. So really, the advisor is taking into account who that student is, what their challenges are maybe, and also their strengths, and putting them in a best position to succeed and move forward with a positive experience at college. Next, they personally build into the students. They want to promote growth towards appropriate independence. And so what that looks like is putting supports in place, behavior plans, talking through challenges, and definitely celebrating those successes that they have on campus. Next, we are the main communication for families and also various departments across our campus. So communication is a large part of the advising role to make sure everyone's on the same page and that we're consistently supporting the student, not only on our campus, but also keeping the parents in the loop from afar, because ultimately, after 3 years, that student is going to be leaving our campus, and we want to make sure that we're all on the same page, moving forward together, and hopefully we're able to support that student just moving forward, even after graduation.
So yeah, advisors really play a pivotal role in the student's life, especially as advisors try to stay with their same student throughout all 3 years and really establish that relationship. And so moving on, we're going to jump into health and safety. And so on our campus, we do have an RN. Her name is Kelsey Domke, and then we have an LPN as well. And so Kelsey is going to share a little bit about our nursing department.
My name is Kelsey Domke. I'm the nursing supervisor here at Shepherd's College. I want to take a couple minutes to just give you an overview of our nursing department. Our nursing team consists of 3 staff currently, myself who's an RN, an LPN, and our office assistant who's also our medical transporter. The nursing department is open Monday through Friday from 7 a.m. to 5 p.m. There's an on-call nurse that we follow a rotating on-call schedule for before and after hours in addition to the weekends. Most things can be handled over the phone, but if needed, we can come in to campus for on-call issues. The main things that the nursing department oversees are medication administration management for all students, training staff to pass medications, supporting students when they feel sick or ill, transporting students to health appointments as needed, and emergency situations that might occur. In regards to refills and medications, parents and guardians are primarily responsible for refilling students' medications and getting those refills to us here on campus. We do work with a pharmacy in Racine called Lakeview Pharmacy, who will refill and deliver medications to us every month, so that is an option for some people. I'm sure you have more questions that are a little more specific to your student. So please take some time to reference the frequently asked questions document by nursing that's posted on the Shepherd's College website. Or please feel free to reach out to me via email at kdomke@shepherdscollege.edu.
And so she referenced the frequently asked questions page. And so actually, if you visit our website here later on and scroll down, the frequently asked questions are all right here. And so I'm not going to really go through these right now, but if you have time later on, I would encourage you to go back, look through those. As she mentioned, you can reach out to her. If you have questions about nursing as well, go ahead and put those in the Q&A, and we'll get to those at the end as well. So moving forward, we're going to talk a little bit about spiritual life. And so we mentioned at the beginning with appropriate independence that our Christian values really guide kind of the care that goes into what we do as a program. And this photo here shows one part of that, which is our all-campus chapel. And so students do chapel every Monday, but every other Monday is what we call campus-wide chapel, which is really fun. And it's where staff members, along with students, will split up into pods, and they'll stay with their pods all year long. And so what's really neat is it establishes an opportunity for all staff and all students to meet together at least once every other week. And we'll often bring in a guest speaker as well to share a story and engage with our students and staff as well. And so we recognize even that we have staff members who don't work directly with students. And so this is a great opportunity for students to meet even other adults on campus that they may not interact with as much, and then our other staff who don't usually meet with students, now they get to connect with them as well. And so it really helps our students out to get to know more people and be mentored by more people throughout the year as well, even on top of their advisor. And so on top of that, our students do small groups throughout the week, and then as mentioned in our core classes, they will take a few Bible classes throughout their time here at Shepherd's College. And so another piece about student life, which is one of my personal favorites, is Special Olympics and also clubs. And so we have a few photos here, and we're going to watch a quick video to learn more about what Special Olympics looks like here at Shepherd's College.
Here at Shepherd's College, we take part in the Special Olympics of Wisconsin, and there are several sports that students can take part in. One of which is bowling, which takes place right across the street at the bowling alley here in town. We also do track and field, and then some other sports we do are basketball, volleyball, soccer, and next year we're going to be adding flag football. So you're definitely going to want to make sure to check out Special Olympics if you're thinking about coming to Shepherd's College. They are a blast to be a part of, and we would love to have you join one of our teams. We also have clubs that take place in the evenings, and so students can join clubs as they'd like, and we have several different clubs that happen here. So right now we have recycling club, we have a book club, we have an art club, we have a drama club. Now with some of these clubs, they kind of change as the year goes on, or we might even add new clubs. So if there's a group of students here who are really interested in something and we have a staff that has the time, then we can start a new club. And that's actually how Drama Club got started. We had a group of students last year who've always wanted to do drama. And so they approached one of our staff and said, hey, what do you think about this? And sure enough, here we are having a drama club. We've had students do a few skits up on stage, and it's been wonderful. So definitely check out clubs if you're thinking about coming to Shepherd's College. They're a great extracurricular activity to be a part of.
And another thing about that's in relation to Special Olympics, so in the gym there where I was standing, we also do a workout class called Impact that students can join. And so that's a lot of fun where they can come, and it's kind of like you follow along with a staff member up on stage working through different workouts. We'll have the music bumping, and it's a real good time. And so that kind of captures all of student life. And I just want to reiterate one more time kind of how academics and student life, what they look like together. And so again, academics, as a reminder, go from 9 a.m. to 3 p.m. Monday through Friday. Anything outside of 9 a.m. to 3 p.m. we consider student life, and that includes the student housing as well. So they'll get out of class at 3, go back to where they live on campus, begin with meal prep and taking care of afternoon responsibilities. And then after that, whether it's small groups or Special Olympics or clubs, those take place throughout the week in the evenings as well. And so that's kind of what a day would look like for a student. What I do want to walk through as well is the weekends. And so we have a thing Friday night fun, we call it, where different living areas on campus might be doing something on or off campus. And then Saturdays is our big activity day. Well, we're going to have at least anywhere from 1 to 3 activities, whether it's again on or off campus, that students can choose between. And this is where the advisor kind of comes into play, where students meet with them, look at the activities coming ahead on the Fridays and Saturdays that are coming, and they will budget appropriately for the activity that they're going to go and partake in. And then on Sundays, we have 5 different churches in the area that we're involved with. And so students will have the opportunity to visit all of them and figure out, which one they're most comfortable with and attend that on Sundays. And then Sunday evenings are a little more relaxed. It's kind of nice for students to just hang out, build community together as they transition into the week. And so moving forward, we're going to have another poll here. So we're going to go over the answers from the last one and then launch a new one for you.
All right. Before we go to our last poll, we're going to look at the results from student housing. So let me share those. And as you will see, the Clark apartments are the favorite, which is also common among our students as they have finally reached the highest level of independence, and that by their 3rd year, they feel a very strong sense of achievement through that. So let's launch our last poll here about student life. And this poll is, what Special Olympic sport do you want to join? As you can see, there's lots of options. There's volleyball, bowling, basketball, soccer, track and field, flag football, and for those of you who don't like sports, you can do a club instead.
This is one of my favorite polls here. I'll be honest, I grew up playing volleyball and basketball. Basketball has to be my favorite. Something crazy about Shepherd's is every year we seem to have at least 5 basketball teams. And then on top of those 5 basketball teams, we'll actually we'll have students do the skills challenge as well as part of Special Olympics. And I didn't coach this last year, but I got to go and watch some of our students do the skills challenge. And it was one of the most awesome experience to watch our students do that. And then another fun fact on here, bowling, we mentioned that it's right across the street. In my office right now, I can look out the window and see the bowling alley. So for those of you who've picked bowling, it's very close by, and we're thankful for the collaboration we have with the bowling alley across the street. But regardless of what you picked, all these sports are incredible. We usually have at least 2 to 3 teams for each. And as I mentioned, like 5 teams for basketball. So it's crazy. It's fun. We love it. Students love it. So definitely, as you guys consider Shepherd's College, just know that we do Special Olympics and it is a blast. And so the next thing we're going to jump into here is the admissions process. And so our admissions process right now looks a little different than it normally would. Typically, students would fill out a full application and come and do an on-campus visit. Now, we still have spots available for next year's cohort. So this coming August, in a couple months here, we have spots available. And here's what you need to do in order to get into those spots. The first thing here we're going to walk through, the top blue square here says application items needed. We have an application packet. Now we have a hard copy. We also have an online application that's very user-friendly. We can get you the link for that. It's also on our website where you can fill it out. We have a $75 application fee. We have 3 references. We have a personal reference, which this can be anybody outside of your immediate family. We have a supervisor or counselor reference, and then we have an educator reference. Now for these references, we have specific forms that we would like you to fill out. Whether you get the hard copy of the application or the online application, we will have those attachments there for you to give to your references. They can fill it out and mail it right back to us. The other thing is that we request the most recent IEP. Now we prefer that for both the IEP and then actually the next part I'll jump down here, the psychological evaluation, we would like for those to be within the last 2 to 4 years. And then on the bottom there is high school transcripts. And as we talk about IEPs and psych evals, now Shepherd's College does not have an age cap for students. We do recognize that based on the schooling that a student received or the age that they're at, that the IEP or even the psych eval might be outdated. So what I would recommend is that if you have questions about that, reach out to us in the admissions office directly and we'll be happy to work with you through that. And so that's kind of phase 1 of the admissions process, is get all the documents to us. The second part here is we've transitioned from doing an online or a on-campus visit to now doing a virtual visit. And so once we get all those items in, students will engage in a Student Life Connect and then do an interview and academic activities through Zoom. And so you'll just connect with the admissions office and we'll set up the times and dates for that and walk through that with you. Now, once the full application is in, once the visit is completed, then the student's application and the visit and all that will get reviewed as a whole by our application review team. And so they will review the application, and then you will hear back from us. Once a student is accepted, they will receive the letter from us in the mail with the intent to enroll form. And then you would submit the form with the $300 deposit. And so right now, if you're thinking, man, there's still time, I want to get in for this August, please reach out right away. We would love to get the application to you, walk through this process with you. We can work with you through the month of June and July and try to get things settled in before we get too close to August here. And so, yeah, as you have questions about this, please continue to enter those in the Q&A, and we will walk through some of these questions at the end. So all that to be said, a big part of applying to Shepherd's College is figuring out what finances look like. And so now I'm going to pass it over to Brian as we discuss a little bit about financial aid.
Yeah, and one very recent update for those of you who are interested in still attending this fall. We recognize that this whole situation, as helpful as it is for you to get this overview, is not ideal, and you would love to see and interact with us a little bit more. We are permitted now to do tours this summer for guests within social distancing guidelines with face masks and gloves and so on. And so if you would like to see what's unfolding here firsthand, we would be more than happy to provide a tour for you as you're making this important decision about whether or not you intend to come for this fall. But there's also some other creative ways for some of you who maybe live further away. If we could do some Zoom visits with you, schedule some visits with current students or alumni over Zoom for you to interact with them. There's a lot of different ways we can support you in your journey, further exploring whether this is something you intend to apply for, in particular for this fall. But if you do intend to apply for this fall, we would recommend you moving on that instinct very quickly, because we're going to be running out of time very shortly. So the next piece is financial aid. This is a very important piece because a lot of times when families pull up the website and look at the total cost to attend, as is true across the United States for post-secondary education, there can be some sticker shock. But it's very helpful when you hear Jessica go through the various ways in which students are able to fund their education and ultimately their dreams by coming to Shepherd's College. So I want to play this presentation by her that outlines all the various ways that students are pulling resources together to fund their post-secondary dreams.
Hello, welcome to the virtual preview day for Shepherd's College. Now that you've heard all the fantastic things about our programs and what your students will experience, let's talk about finances. I know that finances can be overwhelming, especially when it comes to paying for college. But I'm here to help you realize that financial aid is possible for Shepherd's College. Here you will see the cost of attendance for the 2020-2021 school year. This cost of attendance includes everything that makes Shepherd's unique. This is academics and paraprofessional support, as well as advising and other fees such as technology equipment, school supplies, and extracurricular. In addition to the cost of attendance, there is a specialty major fee for each student for each year. Now, seeing these numbers might be daunting. Seeing these numbers might make you wonder, how am I going to make this college a reality? How am I going to fund this dream? We have some guidance, and we have these steps that we hope will help you lower your cost. The first thing we recommend is Social Security. If your student doesn't already receive Social Security money, we recommend applying through your state. Social Security money is the student's to use how he or she chooses, which of course means that it can be used as a college payment. In particular, I usually think of Social Security as an even match for room and board cost. One important thing to note for Social Security is that Shepherd's is not the permanent address when students live on campus. Even though they live on campus, the permanent address is the home address where you live. This is important because it affects documents and mail that come for the students. In addition to Social Security, we recommend filing FAFSA. FAFSA is the free application for federal student aid. Through this application, students will be eligible for funding through the Department of Education. This funding includes grants, loans, and federal work study. FAFSA can be applied online or with paper. I recommend applying online. It's simpler, faster, and has a direct retrieval tool to tie in tax information directly. When you apply online, go to this website and type in our school code so that we receive the information. FAFSA will look at all the family information: how many live at home, how many are in college, savings, cash on hand, and other financial details. I mentioned that it would look at tax information. For the 2020-2021 school year, 2018 taxes will be used. Now, when filing FAFSA, the student will be considered either dependent or independent. This is very different than what it looks like for your tax return. A student can be considered dependent, being claimed on your tax return, but independent for FAFSA, or vice versa. This is separate, and it's mostly because FAFSA looks at independence as either age or marital status. If your student was born before 1997, your student is going to automatically be considered independent for FAFSA. That means the EFC will be considered and calculated based on his or her income only. The EFC is the estimated family contribution, an important figure in determining eligibility for grants, scholarships, and other funding sources. When a student is independent for FAFSA, parent loans are not available. In addition to Social Security and federal student aid, there are state and local agencies and programs that might help fund the college education. Many of these programs are through Medicaid waivers or vocational rehab programs. Many of these programs have goals that directly align with Shepherd's College goals. We want our students to reach appropriate independence. We want our students to be gainfully employed. And therefore, their goals through their programs align with what we are already promoting. Therefore, a training grant or some funding source might be available through these programs. The application and initial appeal for these programs would come from the family. At some point, you would need information from me regarding class schedules, grades, course catalogs, or even proof of accreditation. When that time comes, we'll work together and we'll make this funding source a possibility. You'll also see here that there are some Veterans Affairs funding sources available. If you are a veteran, that might be possible for your student. There are many external scholarships to consider. You can find many simply by doing a Google search, or you can visit specific websites and specific agencies. Some of these external scholarships are based specifically on the diagnosis. Some of them are more general, and some of them are even faith-based. They range from local to national, far, wide, small, and large. If you visit our website, you'll find under the Program and Admissions tab that there is a Financial Aid tab with some of these scholarships clearly listed with links directly to the websites. I encourage you to pursue those options. After all of these funding sources, we have internal scholarships to consider. Our internal scholarships are need-based, and therefore we look at the entire family financial picture when considering eligibility. Many scholarships have been awarded over the years, and these scholarships include the Shepherd's Foundation Scholarship, as well as individual named scholarships. In particular, for this year, I'd like to announce the new edition of the Shepherd's College Siblings Scholarships. We look forward to how that'll impact more families and more students in the coming years. As I mentioned, these scholarships are need-based, so we encourage you to pursue other funding sources as well. In addition to all the scholarships, grants, and funding sources, if you think creatively, you'll find that there are many ways to pay for Shepherd's College. Here you'll see a couple examples, and I can give a couple other examples from my own experience. Here you'll see a GoFundMe page as well as a blog, and you'll note that on these pages there isn't a Shepherd's College logo. It's not that Shepherd's is endorsing this student's story. It's not that Shepherd's is asking for money. It's simply your way of sharing your story for your student to come to Shepherd's. We also find that when families share their stories with friends or relatives, neighbors, church members, that many people want to help you support that dream. They want to help support the student that they've come to love or the student that has made a difference in their lives. When they pay toward a tuition bill, it is not a donation to Shepherd's. It's important to note that a tuition bill is not tax deductible. One of my favorite stories regarding a creative way to pay for college involves a student who came with a bag full of coins, literally a Ziploc full of coins, and she came to pay one of her student fees at opening weekend during her first year of college. She was so proud to bring that bag of coins and so proud to make her own payment toward her college education. And I found out that she earned those coins from a yard sale the previous week. So she was contributing with her own resources to pay toward Shepherd's College. That was inspiring to me, and I also hope that it might inspire you to think creatively. There really are many options when it comes to paying for college. If you have questions about all of this, or when you need information or resources, please contact me. My information is seen here. My email address is pretty simple, financialaid@shepherdscollege.edu, and my phone number is also listed. I look forward to walking this journey with you. Thank you. Have a good night.
Everybody's financial situation is very unique, and even where they live, the funding sources available may be very unique. So our encouragement to you is, if this is something you're interested in further exploring, please do reach out to Jessica and discuss what financial aid options may be available. We've been approved as an out-of-state provider for some vocational rehab fund sources from around the country. So it's possible that somebody's actually gone before you and potentially opened doors to certain funding sources in your state, but we would just encourage you to reach out to her. There was a slide included in there that indicated that we've given out just over $4 million now since 2008 in internal scholarship awards. Just over 70% of Shepherd's College students rely on Shepherd's scholarships in order to attend. These are needs-based scholarships that we fundraise, that we give out every year to students over the course of their 3 years that they're here. And among those 72 or so percent students, the average is about $13,000 per year. So it's a significant investment on our part, but it also allows for a significant group of students to be able to attend who otherwise wouldn't be able to. A couple of years ago, we put a video together to thank our donors because they're partners with us in this mission to impact these students, and we wouldn't be able to do what we do without them. And we want to share this video with you, not because we're raising money right now. We're sharing about the mission of our program and why we want you to join us as a student. But we want you to hear from students what it means to them that we have these funds available to them that help close the gap between what they're able to pay and what they need to be able to attend. So we'll go ahead and share this donor thank you video to hear from our students.
When I came from high school and I came here, I was scared and nervous, but soon when I look around, I know I'm going to do great here, and I know I want to do what I want to do in my life. It feels like a home, like what God's like opened the gates, like welcome to heaven. I never give up on my faith, and He's always shown me the great path and everything. You just make new friends and enjoy this college, because it is college. Welcome to Shepherd's College. The dreams come true, and the future comes to you.
Before I came here, I was in a public high school, but believe it or not, pretty much I have more friends here than I did in high school, because they're more like me. A lot of people that I went to school with weren't special ed like I am. The staff is really nice, and so are friends. And I'm in culinary, so I like working with food. We make a lot of cookies and a lot of cupcakes. Thank you for making this experience possible.
My school experience before I came to Shepherd's was nice and all, but I felt like I didn't fit in because of my disability. I felt like I was alone because I felt like I was the only one that had a learning disability. What's different here at Shepherd's is I found a place where I belong, because there's people just like me who has the same disability as me. We have like the same story to tell, and I felt that was really cool that I have friends just like me who gets me. It's like my home here because like not only I have friends who care about me, there's staff, like all the staff cares about you. You're not being isolated with people. You can be around each other because we're also a community. I want to say thank you for those people who built this place, who brought me an opportunity for me to come here. Thank you for welcoming me into this lovely environment at the school, that I felt welcome here, felt this place where I belong. I don't know what I'll do without Shepherd's. This is like a home to me.
My dad actually, he asked me, how would you feel if you wanted to come to college? After a few weeks, I made my decision and I wanted to go to Shepherd's. Shepherd's is a friendly environment and it helps us strive to be more independent, be the man that I want to become and make my father proud. My life would probably be a little bit more difficult because if I wouldn't have come here, I wouldn't become more closer to God. Thank you for your donations, and thank you for just making Shepherd's possible for families and people to come here. I came here and I think I felt more at home. I made a decision to come here, and that's how it all started.
We are so grateful for those who help fuel our students' dreams because it allows us to get to know those students. And as you can tell from the video, we have some incredible students and stories of ways that they got here and the impact that this has had on them. So we're extremely grateful for that. We're going to move now to discussing our alumni. So what does it mean once you graduate Shepherd's College? What happens? And before we talk a little bit about the services we provide in the alumni experience, I want to introduce you to one of our very first students from our first incoming cohort, Gloria Ingdo, who I had the privilege of working with in my very first year here. I started in 2009 as a student life staff. And so I worked in the after-school programming that we discussed earlier with the first and second year students at that time. That was the only two cohorts we had. So I got to watch this journey unfold. And then fast forward to last week, I'm eating lunch at a local restaurant and bakery. Gloria is still there to this day working as a baker. So you hear a little bit about that story in this video.
I wanted to go to college. My aunt got a flyer and she sent it to my mom. Well, we filled it out, and then next we knew, I got accepted.
I oversaw Gloria's career here at the college as her advisor. A fun memory I have of Gloria is that Thanksgiving, I invited her to our family's Thanksgiving celebration. Gloria assisted me with making pies, and she had just a passion for baking and just a love for people.
My relationship with Angie how blossomed, basically. She became more like my mentor and my friend.
The first ever field experience that committed to Shepherd's College was Country Rose.
Chef Brett McCartney came and approached us and asked if we wanted to be a part of the program, and it's like, well, sure, let's try it out. And it went really well. I mean, we had Gloria the first one. What can I say?
I immediately liked Rose. She's such an open, caring person. I was like nervous being there because I've never worked in a place like that, but I soon felt comfortable enough.
She's very positive. She takes a lot of pride in her work. She started out maybe balling up cookies or putting together muffins. Well, now she makes those muffins. She makes those cookies. She makes a lot of what's in this case.
Shepherd's could see that was a good fit for me, so I started working there during my third year. Over the course of the school year, I got to do a lot of baking. Everyone who works at Country Rose is like family.
The relationship we have at Shepherd's is important because they help us. The employees have to work together as a team with this person, and everyone has to get along. So it's a learning experience for them too. Also, the customers are a part of it, so it's kind of a community thing, and we all are blessed by it. So there's a bonding time. It's good for everyone. That's why we do it. Kind of selfish.
Rose realized she needed a new baker. I told her that I was staying in the area. She didn't want to lose me, so she hired me on the spot. I learned all life skills, basically, from living with a roommate, managing my own money, staying on budget, I met my husband here, got married. As a result, Shepherd's God just opened the door for me to this special relationship, and I didn't know where it was going to go from there. And about almost 3 years ago, in October 2015, he and I got married. If I can imagine my life without Shepherd's, it wouldn't be the same as it is now. I would tell someone who's thinking about Shepherd's College to come here for a visit, then go ahead and apply. Because you don't know what your life will be like if you don't go for it and if you don't apply. It just might change your life like it did mine.
When I saw her last week, it was at Country Roses, the field experience site that's spotlighted in there that eventually went on to hire her. So she's now been employed there for 9 years. And since that video was made, they've added a completely new wing just for baking, and that's Gloria's primary location for getting that work done. She put in the work to earn the opportunity too. I remember as one of the first field experience sites, they had to wake up at 3 or 4 a.m. depending on the day to get there in time. Now, thankfully, we continue to be able to provide training through the field experience site, but we don't have to go that early anymore. So it's a kind of a win-win for both of us. So to talk a little bit about alumni also includes discussing placement. In fact, one of the questions I saw earlier that's already been submitted that I'll be discussing now is what services do we provide after they graduate? So on top of graduating from Shepherd's College and being a Soaring Eagle alumni for the rest of your life and being invited to ongoing opportunities for social events, alumni events, we want to support their pursuit of appropriate independence long after they're here as students. One of the major ways to do that is to support their pursuit of employment in anticipation of graduation and after graduation. So we have a dedicated staff member who's a placement specialist. And their role is to begin supporting the student and training them while they're here as a student, but before they graduate, to help them land in an employment situation that aligns with the specialty major that they chose. So one of the components of our accreditation is that we need to keep students employed at 70% or higher of gainful employment in a specialty major, trade, or similar. So if they graduate in culinary, finding a job in the culinary field where they're making gainful wage or higher, which they define as minimum wage or higher. Last summer, we did a kind of a social media campaign where we started spotlighting alumni, and all we did was reach out and post that, hey, we're looking for updates on people. Anybody want to share what they're up to these days? And we got a whole bunch of messages from alumni across several years sharing updates about where they're working and what's going on in their life. So I'd encourage you to, if you haven't already, follow our social media presence, particularly on Facebook. And if you scroll back about a year ago now, we did a series of posts each day covering different alumni stories throughout. But you'll see the reporting data that we submit each year to COE is outlined in the employment outcomes slide there. And as far as it relates to our current accreditor, it started in 2015. And we only recently added technology, which is why you'll see NA for there. Technology has actually only had 2 reporting periods. But we've been at 70% or higher every year for each specialty major, with the exception of horticulture this past reporting year. It's the first year where the numbers were 50% and not 70% or higher. Now, there's a couple reasons for that. One, it was a very small group, and it was a total of 6. And so you have to hit 5 of 6 in order to meet that number for a cohort that's that small and that size. But also, among the 3 that didn't get employment, 2 of them had moved out of state into smaller rural communities. So we're continuing to support them in their pursuit of employment. But it was quite a small group to be working with. And we have implemented plans in place to continue and rectify that and keep our numbers at that 70% or higher year over year. But you can see there for the averages across time, we've been at or above that standard set by our accreditor. And to give you some point of reference, nationwide, the statistics for gainful employment for young adults with intellectual and developmental disabilities is somewhere between 18 to 20% overall. So our task is to increase that number across the same demographic of individuals by 50% or more. And so we're very grateful that to this point, we've been able to hit those numbers consistently. And that's in part due to the stellar training provided by our staff and then the partners in the community who do employ our graduates after they complete the program. So next, we are going to move into our Q&A section. So if there's a question that you have that you haven't been able to ask yet, we will give you a second to go ahead and type that in for us. We'd be happy to respond. A couple of things I just want to remind you about is the website that we were just going through is on our Shepherd's College website. If you click on the program link, you'll see a preview day link underneath that. You click on that web page, and everything we just walked through will be available to you, so you can rewatch the videos, you can read through the content in greater detail than we were able to go in during this time. As I mentioned before, if you're looking to come this fall, we know that's a big decision to make, particularly if you haven't been able to come to campus. Let us explore ways of either showing you campus by hosting you here or discussing some other more customized virtual ways that we can provide an experience for you as you make that important decision. And then one last announcement. We plan to open this fall, and we have details outlining what the general framework for that plan is up on our website. So if you click on our website under the health and safety section, you can read a recent update that was just provided this week to our students regarding our plan for reopening. So we're not going to go into detail about that now, but we would be happy to field your questions after you go through that summary, and do feel free to email or call us. We'd be happy to talk through that. But I will go ahead and turn it over to you, Cassandra, and we can start our Q&A.
Yeah. Before we start the Q&A, I'm going to share the results to our last poll really quick about Special Olympics, just so you know. So there's the results. Basketball was the favorite among people, but there was a pretty even divide too there from bowling, soccer, and flag football. So that's very exciting. Another reminder too that I don't think Brian mentioned is that we will be doing a giveaway at the end of the Q&A. So if you stay on until the end, you could be winning a free t-shirt. All right, so the first question is, does accreditation status allow for 529 plan funds to be used?
Yes, it does. Yeah. So you would enter our school code, and it would show that we're one of the schools because we're accredited that would apply to. So absolutely yes.
Perfect. Thank you, Tracy. Mm-hmm. What is our most popular occupational major?
That really changes from year to year. I think, Lori, is it right that next year, third year students, horticulture is crazy popular in next year's graduating class? Sometimes it'll be culinary arts. Hasn't been tech yet, but it seems like when they come in as first years, before they go through all the intro classes, tech is the most popular many years, but usually they settle in. And some years it's almost divided absolutely evenly, so it really changes from year to year.
It's pretty even for this second year class that we have right now.
And for those who I didn't share with, which is everybody, we have Lori Konopasek, our Vice President of Development here. I just want to give them some context, because Lori is like a brain trust of everything that happens at Shepherd. So if you have any questions, she probably has an answer to it. So I'm just giving them some context for that. But thank you for joining us, Lori.
Thanks. No pressure, huh?
All right. On to the next question is, can you change your specialty major?
You can. It's the earlier you do it, the better. It doesn't happen very often because, again, first semester students get to try out all three and hopefully make an informed decision about which one they want to pursue. But some students have changed, and again, if that happens second semester or first year, that's better than, say, second semester of your second year, which would be really challenging to do, almost impossible to do at that point. But it happens every once in a while.
And can you give more details about how we help students choose a specialty major?
Well, through that intro class, they get a firsthand experience of what that training looks like. Some discussion about where students go for their field experience, where they've landed for jobs, things like that. Each then specialty major instructor will provide feedback about the student's experience in that intro class, and this would be at the end of first semester. So Christmas time on report cards and that sort of thing during that time. Those reports, then we encourage students and parents to get together and talk through which is the best fit for a particular student. We really want students' interest to drive that, but sometimes, if a student has very limited motor skills, culinary could be challenging, or if they just don't have the capability to pursue what the technological fields of study would be. Sometimes we are put in a position where we have to redirect them, but hopefully redirect them in a way that they're still excited about the opportunity and engaged in the training that will take place.
Perfect. Thank you, Tracy.
Mm-hmm.
The next question is, can you give some examples of accommodations that have been used for students who struggle with fine motor activities?
Lori, any come to mind? I can think of a couple. Like a student who lacked fine motor skills in culinary arts, let's say, they do a lot with knife skills, but you don't have to know knife skills to land a job in culinary or food service. So they'll work around that. At the end of that video with Gloria, you might have saw Keith. Keith is a little person and one of our most popular students ever. But Keith was in horticulture. Accommodations were made for him, where a raised working stand that he could work on, so like in the greenhouse. You saw him putting plugs in the different plants as the greenhouses get started in January, February. So some accommodations for Keith were made as well. Any other come to mind, Brian or Lori?
Keith also had different size tools, which would help him.
Mm-hmm.
So there's a range of options that we could do.
All right, thank you. Another question somebody asked was, in third year, when a student is in the apartments, are they responsible for mowing the lawn?
What a great idea. Yeah. Horticulture does do some of the care of our facility and our grounds, but they do not do the majority necessarily. And just because you're in Clark doesn't mean you have to mow the lawn. But that's an interesting idea.
It is. Horticulture does have a zero-turn riding mower that students will get a chance to learn to use. And I remember once hearing, it was during a preview day when they're on campus, and somebody asked them as they're all lined up, what's your favorite part of horticulture? And they went down the line, I think 7 out of 8 said, driving the zero-turn mower. So
they had just learned that task, so
yeah.
It was definitely fresh on their minds.
All right, thank you. The next question is, when can somebody start applying if they're looking for next school year, so 2021, 2022?
They can start now. An application is good for 2 years. An acceptance is good for 2 years. So, our encouragement is we've seen a trend that people are applying earlier and earlier. So if you would like to go ahead and apply and enroll for the 2021 year, you can go ahead and submit all your paperwork now. What it may mean is that since you're applying for 2021, we may not get around to our side, which is the evaluation side and the review of all the application items, until a little bit later, because we're still working through some candidates for 2020 this fall. But the sooner you get it to us, the better position it puts you in for us to get to that next stage. And then at the point in time in which the process is completed, assuming you're accepted as a student, then you'll be able to go ahead and submit a deposit to reserve your spot in the class. We also have, I don't know the exact number, I believe 6 or 7 now that are enrolled for 2021, and we typically bring in cohorts of 36. So we've never begun a year potentially, getting close to 10 enrollees, which we could be at that point for next fall at the open of a school year. So if that trend continues, we could potentially be facing a wait list, although we don't know, obviously, with all the implications of what's currently unfolding, if that will be the case or not, given some of the limitations of the admissions process due to the pandemic. But like I said, get everything in, and that'll put you in good standing and in good position to make sure you get a spot for next year. And if you do that now, you'll be in great shape.
Awesome. Thank you, Brian. How many staff members do we have?
I think it's right around 90. And so it's almost 1-to-1 staff to student. And that's because, class sizes are small. In a class, there will be a teacher and 1 or 2 paraprofessionals. When they're out of class, they're in student life. Student life is staffed at a similar ratio of 8 to 1 or somewhere in that neighborhood. There's the overnight staff. We also have administrative staff. So there's a marketing team, just a couple people, but marketing. We have the recruiters, admissions folks, have advancement, so fundraising personnel on our staff. So it's there's a lot of us involved, and it's an amazing team, and amazingly talented, really committed to the mission of Shepherd's College, and doing everything we can to make the student experience significant so that the takeaway is very meaningful for our graduates.
Perfect. Thank you, Tracy. The next one is so Brian talked about employment specialists. For job placements, do we mostly do areas surrounding the school, or do we help students find employment closer to where they live?
It's both. So we've had the privilege of serving students from 32 states and 8 different countries, and everybody comes from different places, and oftentimes they move to different places when they finish. Some have chosen from out of state to relocate to our community, and we can help them find placement here. An example could be one of the girls you saw in the donor thank you video actually has now relocated to Union Grove and came to us from Connecticut. She found a job here as a roommate with another alumni of Shepherd's College. They're doing really well. They had my family, which is 4 kids, so it's a lot of people to cook for, over for dinner 3 or 4 months ago, and it was a really enjoyable time with them. But that's an example of somebody coming from out of state. Her roommate was originally from Rockford, so a little bit closer by an hour away. I got a job in this area, and now they are rooming together. If they are going to return home, that planning process begins during the 3rd year, and sometimes the conversations even are initiated earlier than that. And it'll be a collaboration between advisors, students, their families, and our instructors that teach courses that help prepare them for interviews, for building their resumes, for searching for jobs, for applying for those jobs online. So that process starts well in advance of graduating. And in some cases, there could be 2 or 3 scenarios the student is facing, and so helping them plan for all is important. Prior to graduating, allowing our placement specialists to get to know them, to see their portfolio of work. So we do employment readiness assessments. We do the resumes, which include a video resume as well, showing the student in action, typically at a field experience site. And then they have a plan in place for the locations they're going to be applying for jobs. So in collaboration with the placement specialist, they're often able to help provide refreshers or navigate the process of doing an interview, finding a job in their community after they graduate. In some cases, we had a business that recently closed, and so a former alumni no longer was employed there after being employed. So he reached back out to our placement specialist. She was able to find 3 or 4 jobs that would be a good fit in the specialty major that he graduated with, and make referrals for him to go and complete the interviews with them. So that's some of the ways that we help support them. If they're local, we can do more probably directly hands-on because we have a network of connections that are here. But if they are out of state, it's more of a partnership with the student to do that research and support them in their pursuit of employment as they go home.
Perfect. Thank you, Brian. Can you give some examples of the types of jobs a culinary student would get after graduation?
Yeah, I can give a couple. You already met Gloria, and so she works at a bakery. We have several graduates that are at like a nursing home or a veterans home where they work in the kitchen and serve food. We also have students that have landed jobs in schools, and that's a great fit for them. Grocery stores like the bakery and the deli has also been a really good fit for a lot of students. And then you have restaurants. So fast food or other types of restaurants might be an option. Locally, we have a Chick-fil-A and a Subway. So students have been at those locations too. Those are just a few.
Thank you, Lori. The next question is, do we have a list of minimum skill or academic requirements for admissions?
The admissions process really takes a holistic look at the student. So at one point in time, historically, we used to have outlined in our admissions criteria, third grade reading and ideally a third grade math level. And a student at that level would still be well suited for our program, but we realize that's just one dimension of that student's ability and experience. And so the entire admissions process is designed to look at the student as it relates to their motivation, to their social skills, to their daily living skills, and the academics as well, which are a piece of that, along with the history that comes with the psych eval, the IEP, the references, and all that. And that in conjunction with the student experience, whether it's overnight on campus or through the virtual assessments that we conduct, we compile all that information and make a determination. And it could be that the determination is a student's accepted, they're good to go, and they can enroll. Sometimes we ask for more evaluation to be able to look at the student maybe from a different angle or provide more experiences for them to get comfortable. Or in some cases, it may be that a student's not a fit. More often than not, when a student's not a fit, it could be a behavioral reason, so that a student could be a threat to themselves or others. It could be a safety reason if they require support that is beyond the scope of what we have in place, such as a student that could be significantly medically fragile. Or it could be a motivation reason. They really don't want to be here. And those tend to be the biggest eliminators for a student. Beyond that, again, it's looking at all those dimensions. To give you some examples, some of our students with the very highest academic level still need a lot of support when it relates to social skill or daily living skill development. And then we have some students who maybe their academics would be considered very low level, and yet socially and daily living skill and their motivation is very high. And so it's really looking at the whole picture to make that determination. I wouldn't let a student's academic ability eliminate the possibility that this could be a really good fit for them.
Thanks, Brian. The next question is, are there plans to grow the size of Shepherd's College in the future?
Yes. We are nearing capacity on our campus in Union Grove, which is about 110 or so. I think if COVID hadn't happened, we'd be right up against that this coming year. But it did, and so it's maybe going to delay us hitting the capacity a year or two, but we'll be right up against that. We've given lots of thought and consideration and evaluation of how best to grow Shepherd's College, and we think a real important way to do it would be to replicate what we do on this campus at other campuses strategically located across the United States. And so we've gone as far as we've already done a feasibility study in a major metropolitan area in the United States and have determined there is enough interest there. There's enough interest in giving towards a project like Shepherd's College. And so, again, COVID has slowed all that down, kind of brought it to a halt for the time being, but we're anxious to reinitiate that. Another real positive thing from this whole experience with COVID has been our teachers very quickly transitioned from doing dynamic in-classroom, in-person instruction to being asked to replicate that as best they can virtually, so online distance education. And they did a remarkable job. I mean, it was like a 2-week period they were given while our students took an extended spring break. The teachers, this just has to be done so we can complete the semester, and they did a wonderful job. And the response of our students, I mean, many of them required special help to get started. Some have required some one-on-one time each day from our staff, but overwhelmingly, it's been a very positive experience, so much so that we are already making plans to roll out, we hope by January, some online modules and courses for students who can attend Shepherd's College. A real good demonstration of what we're trying to do is right now, it's 100 students or so that get 100% of the Shepherd's College experience, and everybody else in the country does not. So if we can give them, it won't be the same. It won't be the same holistic experience that they get when they come to our campus, but if we can help them grow and develop in some areas of their lives with online training, we hope to do that, and we hope to touch many more lives by doing that. So right now, I'd say our expansion plans are two-faceted, one with the branch campuses and looking to do that. And then now a new addition is this idea of online instruction and the exciting possibilities of all the different people's lives we could touch through that.
Thanks, Tracy. The next question is, what are some job sites for the technology major for alumni and for field experience?
I can take that one. So for field experience, we have quite a few different data entry type options. And one is also at the Union Grove Chamber. So that's a really cool local option that students have. What we found with distance learning is our students can do their FEs from home, which is unique to technology. So that's been a really cool thing. So those are FEs. In terms of job placement, we've got a range. So one of the companies, it's called Lanix, and they hired one of our graduates. They're thrilled to have her. And in fact, they want more of our students for FEs. If we can do more days, they would love that. So that's one, and that primarily is data entry and compiling data for them. Another option that a student found was a law office. So she does clerical work for that. And a unique option is a student takes pictures for a car sales agency or a car sales organization. And so they take the pictures and then they can post those for the company to sell their cars. So that was a really cool opportunity for the tech students.
My favorite tech graduate placement is at Shepherd's College.
Oh yes, that too.
Yes, so we have one of our tech grads we employ. And so Tori is our tech assistant, and it's really neat to see him side by side with our students as he's helping teach them different things in the tech program. He's a really neat young man, and what a success story, and a great opportunity for us to hire one of our own alumni to be involved in that way.
Thanks for sharing. The next question is, why is accreditation important?
It's not. I'm sorry, I just did that for Scott's sake. Accreditation is important because of the credibility that it gives us. It's outsiders coming in and saying your school is legitimate. It evaluates every aspect of our school, from the finances to our curriculum, the resources that we have available for teachers. Every piece of it is evaluated. So it's a real thorough process. And we don't know of any other school that serves this population that's gone through the accreditation process like we have. And it's a very important process. And then it opens up the door for federal student aid and the 529s and different things like that. So it has an impact from a financial perspective as well.
One thing I'd like to add about the accreditation as well, for those of you who are exploring other programs, occasionally it gets a little confusing because we call ourselves a certificate program, as do many other programs that are college experiences. But one of the things that I encourage you to research and look at, and that we've been mentioning, is that Shepherd's exists as the only fully accredited specialized program specifically serving this population. And so you might have heard about CTPs or other different terms that other programs might fall under, but Shepherd's College has full accreditation. And so I just like to mention that as one of our distinctives, and it goes a long way for your student because it's showing that they have received qualified training in the field, certifying them for a job. It's very similar. The best analogy I can think of is like a trade school. When you go there to get certified in a specific area of study to work in that field, is very similar to what we're doing at Shepherd's. So we are distinctive from what you might have heard from other college experience programs. So just wanted to throw that out there as well as a distinctive of our program.
Perfect, thank you. We'll ask 2 more questions and then we'll wrap up for the evening. What is the total number of graduates in SC history?
Yeah, I actually was looking at this earlier today. So we were at, as of this last year, a total of 124, and then we're about to graduate 21 students. So they will be graduating. Technically, their semester ends in what, a week, 2 weeks?
Week from tomorrow.
1 week?
Week from tomorrow. So at that point, it'll go from 121 to 142.
Perfect. All right, last question. What is the community of Union Grove like?
It's small, has a rural feel to it. I think it's like 5,000, 6,000 people, something like that. It's easy for our students to navigate. It's a friendly, a welcoming community to our students. We have a very multi-ethnic, racially diverse student population, and which isn't represented in Union Grove necessarily, but at the same time, it's never been an issue. We're thrilled with how the community has received our students and give them opportunities for field experience, welcome them as they shop or bank or visit Dairy Queen, whatever the case might be. It's really a wonderful city for us, a wonderful town for us to have Shepherd's College located. It's a safe community as well.
And on top of that too, we are located, within 15 to 30 minutes of a lot of other largely populated areas with a lot of stuff going on for our students to be involved with as we go and do outings. And then for those of you wondering, we're about 45 minutes from Milwaukee, and then just about an hour to an hour and a half, depending on traffic, from Chicago as well. So it's nice to be located between two larger cities and other areas as well. So it's definitely a safe, small rural community, as Tracy mentioned. But then at the same time, we have the option to go out and be involved and engaged with even larger communities nearby. So it's great for our students for sure.
Thank you. That was our last question. So just want to announce the giveaway for our lucky winner who gets the t-shirt. So the winner is Anne. So Anne, you should be receiving an email from me probably tomorrow asking your shirt size, and then we'll be mailing that out to you soon. So.
Awesome. Well, thank you all so much for joining us this evening. We hope that we answered all of your questions. And again, this webinar was recorded, and so we'll have that recording up. The page that we walked through today is live on our website. If you go to shepherdscollege.edu, program and admissions, the drop down is preview day. You can click that, walk through everything we walked through today. Please, if you have any questions, email us at info@shepherdscollege.edu. and someone in our admissions department will be happy to get back to you. So thank you all so much for joining us tonight, and we hope that you have a wonderful evening.
Thank you.
Thank you.